Is today the day for the big house meeting after Nicole Anthony stormed off from Janelle and Kesa? And also, who will be heading home this week? Welcome to your live feed update. The beginning of the day is marked with a conversation between David and Kevin, with David asking Kevin where does his vote lie, and Kevin tells him it's nothing personal against David. He's just made this strong connection with Nicole Anthony, which is why his vote will lie with her. I don't really think there's any prying that vote out of Kevin. It seems as though he's very, very solid with Nicole Anthony, and also he continues to plant seeds in her ear, and his input into Nicole Anthony's ear is making her anxiety and her paranoia ramp up sky high, and it's really sad and quite annoying to see, because Nicole Anthony seems like a lovely girl at the end of the day, and to see Kevin continually saying these things and making her feel more panicked and more paranoia is just, it's sad to see, and it's rather annoying, and I've not got much respect for Kevin, if you ask me, and not much respect for his gameplay either, but he is his vote does lie with Nicole Anthony, and he said it's nothing personal to David, but he's just got a close connection with Nicole Anthony. With Memphis being HOH this week, he has burned many bridges. However, he's created maybe one or two. He has strengthened the relationship he has had with Kesa and Janelle, despite them being public enemy number one in the house. He has discussed with Kesa who he sort of feels threatened by, and Kesa reciprocated that, telling him that if he was to win HOH, Cody would be the person he would feel most threatened by, thus put him on the block. Cody did discuss later as well, not with Kesa, with his side of the house, that he feels he'll find himself and Nicole Franzel on the block if Janelle or Kesa wins HOH. I think it's very true. I don't think it takes a genius to realise that is a great read on the game. Also, it doesn't take a genius to think that is a great read on the game. It's pretty obvious that Janelle and Kesa are trying to get them out, and then Cody and Nicole Franzel are trying to get Janelle and Kesa out. Essentially, it's the war that's waiting to happen, and it's going to be stoked when someone new wins HOH on Thursday night. Tyler was running through the votes that David has to stay with him to ensure his safety, or just to make him feel more reassured that he will be staying in the house this week. So he tells him that he has his and Enzo's vote alongside Danny's, as well as Cody's. Bailey and Dave Vaughn are allegedly on board as well, and we've seen them throughout the week saying that they're going to save David. Bailey has shown that she is slightly subject to sort of flipping the vote in case of the fact that people can get enough votes on board, because she wants to make sure, if she's voting Nicole Anthony to stay, she wants to make sure that it's not going to come bite her, and she needs to make sure all the votes are there so she's not on the wrong side of the vote. So we've got those guys there, as well as they thought, Tyler said, Ian and Nicole Franzel will probably keep David in the house. I think we know from the outside it's probably likely the case that they will, so I think it's going to be a very lopsided vote this week, unless something big happens today, which is likely to happen. I will get into that later in the video regarding Nicole Anthony and a house meeting, but we will get there later. And I think potentially, if anything's going to flip the vote, it's going to be this house meeting that could potentially happen today. Bailey and David have discussed that their ultimate goal in the game is essentially to get themselves and Dave on to the final three. They briefly touched on that yesterday, with Dave on saying she wouldn't vote David out because there's never been an African American winner, and I think she's just really sort of enforcing that and really wanting to sort of make history in the Big Brother house. So that's what their goal is, to get them to the final three, to ensure that there can be an African American winner. But they definitely have a solid bond going on there. They seem very, very tight, and I think it's a great alliance, actually. I think they're all playing the game quite well. Obviously, David's found himself on the block. I'd say Bailey is probably in the best position out of the three of them. But it's going to be exciting to see where that goes, because people are starting to realise that Bailey and Davon are lying frequently, and it's starting to come bite them. But I don't think anybody's going to take the hit on them before they take the hit on Janelle and Kesa. So I feel like they're sitting pretty for a few weeks, but you never know, guys. Nicole Franzel and Ian have had a brief discussion saying that Janelle and Kesa are very likely to be nominated soon, and they both believe that Janelle will be the first to go. We've got quite a few of the guys saying that Kesa needs to be the first to go, and the girls saying Janelle. That's just the way it seems to be going in the house. Yeah, I feel like some look at Janelle as this Big Brother legend, and some look at Kesa as just a massive strategy threat, and how he's made some lies and stuff like that. But you know, Janelle and Kesa, they're just easy to rally against, and when if the day comes in which both of them are evicted, then they're going to have to turn on each other. They're just postponing that and using that as an excuse not to target the people that they are really threatened by. In my opinion, I think genuinely they're just like, okay, these two people are Big Brother legends. Everyone thinks that, so that's a common goal that everyone can get behind, where they're not targeting each other. They've just got their sole focus on Janelle and Kesa. Nicole Anthony has told Davon that she and Kevin are her final three should she make out of this week alive. I believe Davon will be voting to evict her anyway, so it's just pretty much a web of deceit and lies that could blindside quite a few people on Thursday night, Nicole Anthony specifically. However, Nicole Anthony has said if she doesn't believe she has the votes by Wednesday night, which is tonight, she'll be holding a house meeting called Nicole's Truth and Janelle's Lies. So it sounds very dramatic because in reality, a house meeting is usually just, okay, everyone gather in the living room, we're about to expose someone or we're about to discuss something, whereas she's actually titled it. She has got a lot of information in the holster. However, I think it could flip on its head because I think she may realise in this house meeting that Janelle and Kesa do actually have her back, unless the rest of the house guests actively campaign or, you know, try to bury Janelle and Kesa whilst the meeting is going on. It's not for definite it's going to happen, but it's looking likely. I'm excited for it because it might just flip the votes on its head. I'm stoked for it, and I think it's really going to spark the war between several house guests, and it's going to be great viewing, obviously, for the live feed. So I can't wait for that if that's happening. But guys, that's just a heads up. Tune into the live feeds tonight, as we could likely be getting the house meeting called Nicole's Truth and Janelle's Lies. Bailey has expressed to Christmas that she is slightly annoyed with Kesa, how he is pushing them or herself and Dave on to try and evict David, because she believes that, you know, being the only two black women in the house, she's annoyed that he is trying to push them to evict David, who is also black, and she is getting very, very annoyed with that. Not to the point where she's like mad at Kesa, but I think she was just slightly irritated by it. But she has said the only way she's flipping her vote and not voting for David, or you know, voting in David's favour, is if it's 100% that the votes are going to go the other way, because she wants to ensure that she's on the correct side of the vote in order to avoid the target on her back. Continuing signs showing that David will be staying this week is Nicole Franzel and Christmas having a conversation, saying that they should keep David around as he is the weaker player between himself and Nicole Anthony, saying that he will actually be easier to take out further down the line than Nicole Anthony will be. I think it's probably evident that David is the weaker player only because he didn't make it further in the game, not saying that he doesn't have as much potential, because he may just show that as the game goes on. But as far as they know from Big Brother 21 career, they know that Nicole has made it further in the game, so they feel that she is more of a threat. Nicole Franzel has already established that if she was to win HOH next week, Janelle would find herself on slop as a have-not. It's definitely a tactical move, basically, to make her break. And also, Nicole Franzel just doesn't really seem to like Janelle, and Janelle doesn't seem to like Nicole Franzel. So it's an easy get-out, really, rather than putting someone that you like as a have-not. I think she believes she put her on there, and then it just gives that, you know, that... I think she knows she's probably going to be nominated anyway, Janelle, if Nicole Franzel wins HOH. So you might as well put them on have-not, kill two birds with one stone. I think it was obvious that was going to happen, but I think Nicole Franzel is just out to get Janelle, and Janelle is out to get Nicole Franzel. Nicole Franzel and Christmas continue to discuss more game, saying that they are willing to cut Memphis over Enzo, and Enzo isn't even in their alliance. So the fact that they are willing to get rid of Memphis shows that's a massive crack already. It's a fracture in the alliance, and it's getting bigger and bigger. I mean, at the beginning of this week, we saw the cracks were beginning to show, and now the cracks are just wide open, and where it's happening. This house meeting tonight could blow absolutely everything up if it happens. So it's very exciting to see where it could go. But Nicole Franzel and Christmas do not have trust in Memphis, and they'd rather keep Enzo around. Again, Cody was discussing the fact that he doesn't trust Kesa, and he thinks Kesa needs to go. But Memphis also said this with this conversation with Cody, when Memphis has actually been talking good game with Kesa this week. It's all over the place, and this house meeting is just going to expose a million different relationships. I think Danny will be in a lot of trouble in this house meeting because she seems to have a connection with absolutely everyone, and this was established later on. You know, I think they were saying, you know, Danny's got to deal with literally most people in the house, and that's going to come bite her sooner rather than later. But this house meeting is just waiting to blow up many games in this house, if not all of them. Kevin has told Nicole Anthony that he believes that she will be staying in this house this week, and he believes that most people are voting to evict David. I really think that's a terrible read on the game, and I'm getting a bit sick of Kevin for planting these seeds in Nicole Anthony's head. I think he's been the main source of the paranoia that Nicole Anthony is facing right now. It's very sad to see, because, I mean, America... you know, they voted Nicole as America's favourite house guest last year, and you can tell at the end of the day she seems like a lovely person, really down to earth, and the last thing I personally would want to see is her get upset, and that's exactly what we are seeing, and it's such a real shame. And I really wish Kevin would stop planting these seeds in her head, because I feel like Kevin is annoyed himself in Janelle and Kesa, and he's basically trying to rally the troops and make Nicole Anthony believe that they are evil, and it's just really sad to see, and I'm sick of Kevin doing it, really. I really hope you know, Nicole can come to her senses, especially in this house meeting tonight, and hopefully rally the votes to stay. There's tiny little hints that Nicole Anthony is starting to come to her senses. She did a piece to camera and looked at the camera and said that she may eat her words when she leaves the house, meaning that she believes she may have been sort of like totally the wool have been pulled over her eyes with Janelle and Kesa. She doesn't know for sure. She is just in so much paranoia right now, getting pulled left, right and centre, and it's just really confusing for her. But she has established the fact that she may be totally wrong when she leaves this house, and she may just eat her words about Janelle and Kesa. As far as power moves go in this house, we haven't really seen any yet. However, this upcoming week in which someone new will win HOH is definitely going to be the first power move in my opinion. Janelle and Kesa have reminded themselves that in All-Stars 1, they made the fatal mistake of not going after Dr. Will and Mike Boogie of the famous Chilltown Alliance, and they have said they made that mistake. Mike Boogie ended up winning the game, and Dr. Will got to the final 4 with this huge target on the back since day 1, and nobody touched them really until the end, until Janelle was the person to pull the trigger on Dr. Will. And they've basically established the fact that they cannot make the same mistakes again. So if they were to win HOH, they're going into the belly of the beast and they're putting Cody and Nicole Franzel on the block. That's what we like to hear. Bring on the war. War, what is it good for? Getting Nicole Franzel and Cody out the house. Bring it on. Enzo and Cody had a very insightful conversation with Enzo telling Cody that Christmas is definitely to be more trusted. Both of them established that and agreed that Christmas is to be more trusted than Danny and Bailey and Dave Vaughn. And that shows because Danny is tight with them. But they have realised that Danny is extremely quite sly in this game, and she's got deals with absolutely everyone, which is why Christmas is much more trusted to them. But also, Christmas is playing the field this year, and she's in a fantastic position, and nobody's really called her out for it. Obviously, she saved Ian this week, which annoyed Memphis, but that's sort of just being brushed under the carpet, and Christmas seems to be in a fantastic social position still. And also, the fact that was established with Danny was that Enzo believes she's going to throw every single comp, which obviously isn't handy to himself if he's in an alliance with her. He obviously would rather have someone who is going to try and actively win every single comp, which Christmas has said to pretty much everyone in the house. After breaking her ankle this time, she wants redemption and she wants to try and win as many comps as possible. So it seems as though Christmas is definitely on the up in this house, potentially moving to the best social position possible. Now, the highlight of the feeds last night was Kesa and Janelle having a conversation with Nicole Anthony, basically trying to figure out and rack their brains of how could they keep her in the house. It was just a lot of sort of toing and froing, and there didn't seem to be much promise. They were trying their best to really come to a conclusion, and Nicole Anthony's paranoia just keeps rocketing. It's very sad to see, and eventually Nicole Anthony stood up out of the hammock and walked off. She was basically saying, it doesn't matter, I'm expendable to everyone, is what it is, so long. She went inside, went to bed. Bailey and Davon consoled her slightly, but she was very annoyed, tried to get in the diary room. It was just very sad to see, and I hope that she can get some realisation today that Janelle and Kesa aren't out to get it, and they can pull some sort of Hail Mary that will keep her in the house. I'm not actively rooting for David to be evicted. I just really do like Nicole Anthony. I'd love to see her go far in this game, and if she can really just realise that these allies that she thinks are enemies do have her back, then she can get back on track, and I've really got my fingers crossed for her. As I've said several times in this video, lovely down-to-earth girl she seems like, so I hope she can really get back on track and make it far in this game. That is all of your live feed updates and game talk for today, folks. Be sure to tune into the live feed today, because this house meeting of Nicole's Truth and Janelle's Lies is sure to shake up the game if it does happen. Fingers crossed, guys. But again, guys, thank you so much for watching. You are all legends. I really appreciate it so much. If you are new around here, please hit the subscribe button and the like button. I'll say the usual spiel as I always do. Don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. Do all of that stuff. And until your next live feed update, guys, I've been your host, Tom Vasey. Good night.